Hello, I'm Nobby Clark. Welcome to my workshop. I've had a few sort of message conversations with Rob in Australia, whose YouTube channel is Zanudu. I will put a link to his channel in the description box of this video, where he talked recently about problems that we're all faced with in the workshop is rusting and flash rusting on tools and machines. I know being Australia is in perhaps a slightly warmer climate and may not be as humid as it is here in the UK. It is for really all of us in the UK a big problem, particularly with my workshop, is a metal shed, if you like, built in my back garden. Prior to this, I had a wooden shed which we installed 22 years ago when we moved into our new house here, and that was over the years affected very badly by the usual UK rainy weather and condensation building up inside the shed. So by the time I was ready to have my new workshop installed and I had to take the old shed down, it literally almost fell down because a lot of the woodwork had rotted away. I just wanted to sort of give some of my own opinions on how I try to get round the problems of condensation in this workshop. The workshop, although it's a metal workshop, it is a very, very strong construction. When I bought the workshop, this was about 6 years ago. When you buy it, the deal is that the company that make them send a team of actually 3 chaps came along and built the shed for me. My responsibility was just getting the foundations ready and as flat as I possibly could. The reason for picking this particular shed was that the inside of the roof has, I don't know what the material is, I don't know if it's sprayed onto it or laminated on, I'm quite sure, but it has a sort of feeling like felt, and this stops any condensation from getting on the inside of the workshop. The only area that is a problem is on the apex of the shed where the 2 bits of the shed meet. That is open, and that's about the only bit that I ever see any condensation. But that, if it drips into the workshop, it is actually through the central part of the workshop, where I sort of walk through the workshop, so it's not really posed a big problem for me. The way I try to look after the equipment, I mean, it's mainly in the winter that it's a problem. So what I try and do, although the weather is getting very cold at the moment, I try to get into the workshop at least once a week, if I can twice a week, to check the machines in the workshop. My big lathe, which is very precious to me, it's the most expensive single item in my workshop. So actually what I did during the summertime is I bought a barbecue cover, which drops right over the big lathe and over most of the stand that the lathe is mounted on. And this has really helped. I don't really find any problems with it, although I do make sure that the ways of the lathe, all the exposed parts, the chuck and so forth, are all treated with whey oil regularly to stop any flash rusting. My milling machine, the vulnerable area there is the bed of the mill and the vise. So again, I make sure these are liberally coated with oil. And the vise particularly I keep covered up with an old bit of rag which is very oily. This is something that Rob does. He puts sort of oily rags over a lot of the machinery in his workshop. That's a very, very good tip actually to do that. It really sort of holds back any condensation. My small lathe, the Chinese mini lathe, the ways of the lathe generally seem to be okay when I do use the same whey oil on that, on the ways, and the vulnerable part on that seems to be the chuck. That seems to flash rust very quickly, so I have to sort of keep that clean and keep that oiled up. I think with a lot of the hand tools in the workshop, it's going to be very difficult to stop any of those getting some rust on them. It doesn't really affect all the tools, strangely enough, in the workshop. The only way to get round this completely, I guess, is to keep all the tools in cupboards or drawers, which when you're trying to work out here is very inconvenient. I've got a lot of the tools in tool holders and on boards mounted at one end of the workshop, so that all these tools like hammers and screwdrivers and spanners and things like that are all easily to hand. So I just have to sort of bear with that situation, really. The items in the workshop that worry me the most are the things like layout tools and measuring tools. The way I get round this is, I try and make sure that all the tools, the measuring tools I have, really are generally in the original boxes they come in. To the light, I should go through some. Like this is my 0 to 1 inch Moore and Wright micrometer, which the way I try and protect all of these is to keep them in their boxes and put silica gel bags in with every one of the tools. And with this one, this is the smallest micrometer I've got. I really love this one. It's a 0.6 of an inch micrometer. Sweet little thing, isn't it? And again, silica gel bag in there. My precious Mitutoyo vernier caliper, again with a couple of silica gel bags in it. I did point out I didn't buy this new. I could not really afford a new one. This was a charity shop find. The other micrometer, which I do use quite a lot, is it was the second micrometer I bought, and it's a Chinese digital micrometer. This is a 0 to 25 millimeter. It's a sort of metric one, and again silica gel. Some other things that I've had for the workshop, a few years back as a present, I was given a pair of 123 blocks. These boxes, there's a few things in my workshop that are in these boxes. I buy these from a local bookshop that has a craft section. These little wooden boxes are sold for hobbyists that want to buy them to decorate them, or do, I think it's called decoupage, to put stickers on them. I buy these, they're very inexpensive to buy, and this one has my 123 blocks in it, and you'll see that they're wrapped in a special paper. I'll talk about that in just a moment. So my 123 blocks are in there, and silica gel bag. Pop it over there. Again, a larger one of these boxes for a workshop is a bit odd having a nice decorative top to it, but there again, it does the job. This was another recent find. If you've seen any of my earlier videos, I sort of mentioned I think a sign bar, and here it is. Again, it was a sort of a second-hand find. This was, oddly enough, it was on eBay at a starting price of 99p plus I think about £4 or so postage. Well, I did put a reasonable bid in for it, and actually I won it for 99p plus postage, so that was an absolute bargain. When I received it, I gave it a real good clean up. It was missing any of these, I don't know what you would call these, fences on the end, so I made a pair of these. So obviously when it's in use, if you want to rest anything against that. But again, just to show that, again, in its wooden box with some silica gel bags in there to help keep the rust away, and there's my book of trig tables to use with it. I've been back at school. I've got quite a lot of these boxes. They're they've got plastic food storage boxes that have a seal in the lid. So these are actually quite good to keep items in. This is my gauge for setting tool heights, which I think you've probably seen that before. And again, that's in the box with some silica gel bags. I've got a variety of tools that fit into these boxes that I do the same thing with. Now, another big problem area in the workshop is storing your materials. Obviously, if it's brass or aluminium, there really isn't a problem. Obviously, brass develops a sort of like a sort of a tarnish to it, but that is rubbed off very easily. Aluminium, I've never really had a problem to. I know that aluminium exposed to bad weather conditions for long periods can be attacked by cold and damp weather, but with the materials I've got in the workshop, there's no problem. The problem obviously is steel. So I used to keep all the materials I've got in big plastic bins in the cupboard, which is sort of behind here. And when I was digging some of the steel out, of course, it was all covered in flash rusting, so that all had to be cleaned off. But what I've been doing most recently is some material I showed in a previous video. It was a Christmas present from one of my sons. He bought me these bundles of steel, so I've put those in this box and then just put the silica gel in with it, and I'm hoping that's going to work. No reason why it shouldn't. Again, it's in one of these sealed boxes. But what I did with a lot of other material, get the lid back on that again, I won't fiddle with that, is to wrap the steel in this rust resistant paper. And what I do is I just wrap it up, fold it around the material, and then I put a label on each bit to tell me what's inside it, and then all these bundles of steel go into a large plastic container with a lid, and that's worked perfectly. That stopped any rust getting on the material. So any new steel that I buy into the workshop now, I do this straight away. Now this paper, I've just literally ordered, whoops, the sign gone again. This paper, I've just ordered some more of it, and it comes in sheets which are 12 inches, 300 millimeters wide, and you order it in various lengths. It just comes sort of folded up when it's supplied. It's called Rustex VCI paper. This says Rustex USA, but from the printing on here, I'm assuming this is made in a lot of different countries. It lists a whole range of different countries here, so I'm guessing that the company that make this have possibly factories all around the world. It's very, very inexpensive. There's a couple of sheets here. They are 1.2 meters long, so you can just sort of cut it up and wrap the material or tools or whatever in it, and this is actually working out very, very well indeed. I think this is like the material that a lot of tools are actually supplied in. A lot of things that I've bought have been wrapped in a rather anonymous looking paper, which is obviously soaked in oil. I don't know what this is impregnated with. I smelt the paper, my wife smelt it as well, and we think that it may be impregnated with something like beeswax, which I guess is possible. Not that I was around during the Second World War, but I know that during the war a lot of items made for the military were actually wrapped in sort of like a wax paper. And I can remember as a boy buying things from government surplus shops that were wrapped this way, and they're obviously meant for long-term storage or where materials were being sent out to war zones in Africa and Burma or wherever, places like that. So this is, I guess, is a sort of a modern equivalent to that. In the UK, but the only company I've seen advertising this is in the UK is a company called Kronos Tools. They're in Dunstable, and they have got a warehouse that you can visit, but I generally order from them by mail order. I've bought quite a lot of things from them. Very, very good company to deal with. So if anyone's sort of interested in the UK, then they're a supplier. But I guess you can look this Rustex name up if you're in another country. I mean, it mentions on here USA, Italy, France, India, China, Australia, so I guess it's available everywhere. That's is sort of basically how I try and protect things around the workshop. Before I sign off, I just want to sort of well, obviously thank everyone for subscribing to my channel. Even with the numbers are sort of going up quite slowly, but if you watch my videos and you like them, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. And again, many thanks to those that have sent me comments, and nice comments, and comments which are helping me in the workshop. Also, I'm a newcomer to amateur engineering, so any advice that anyone can give me is very, very much appreciated. At this point, I'd like to give a shout out actually to David Ticehurst. His channel, I think, is either Dave Ticehurst or Dave's Workshop. Again, I'll put a link to his channel in the description box. He's been very helpful to me. He's commented on a lot of my videos, and when he sees that I'm doing something wrong or could be doing something better, he's been giving me some very, very good advice. A lot of the things he's told me I've taken up and done, and it's improved the way I'm doing things in the workshop. So I mean, I was very, very grateful to David for all his help. I mean, if you don't know his channel, haven't seen his channel, do take a look at it. He's a retired engineer, toolmaker, I think, and he's got a huge amount of experience, and a lot of the videos he does are on sort of helpful hints and tips on how to do things in the workshop, and there's a lot of things he mentioned which I guess are tips that are passed from the old timers to apprentices in workshops, perhaps things that are not written in books. So it's well worthwhile checking out his videos. You'll learn a lot from him, and obviously do subscribe to his channel as well. Very worthwhile. Before I completely sign off, I'm just going to stop the camera for a moment just to show you a couple of other things in the workshop. Bear with me just a moment. Here we are again. This is the barbecue cover I bought for my large milling machine. It's made of very, very strong sort of heavyweight material, obviously because it's going to be used on barbecues out of doors, and it goes right down sort of well over the base that the lathe is mounted onto, and it's only, I suppose, about 10 inches off the ground, so this is really helping things in the workshop. I mentioned this unusual coating on the roof of the workshop. Now, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but it's got sort of like a felt touch to it. It's quite thick, and this is stopping any moisture from forming on the roof of the workshop, and it really helps here in the shop to stop any condensation and droplets falling onto any of the machines or tools or work surfaces. All the measuring tools I've got, I although they're all in little boxes, I then store them all in these familiar boxes here. This is the sort of usual little garage type storage box, you know, with a lid and drawers in it. And you see I've got a lot of my tools again, as you see, in these little wooden boxes. I don't know if that bit's going to stay up actually, but with that I can't hold that up and get the drawers open, but the drawers just contain all sorts of items like that, all the micrometers and vernier gauges and so forth. I have a second one of these boxes that I keep all the measuring items in, like rulers, scribers and various bits and pieces, and some of the accessories also for the lathe. Now this is the other one I have, and in the top I've got the tool holders for the Dixon tool post on the lathe, and in one of the drawers here I've got things like the various chucks for the lathe and various sort of measuring tools and things like that. And having these is a great idea. You know, you keep all your bits and pieces that you're using for sort of measuring and layout, the rulers and things like that. Some of the better rulers I've got are stored in a little pouch that my wife made for me, and things like the little centre punches and various bits and pieces of that kind. So these toolboxes are so useful in the workshop. These come from, again, a UK auto parts company called Halfords. But I guess these boxes, I mean, they're made in, I assume, in China, so they're probably sold all over the world with all sorts of different names on them. What I generally do when I bought both of these, when Halfords were having a sale, and they sort of come out at very reasonable prices, so well worth looking out for. Well, that's me done for today. Thanks for bearing with me, and I hope to have another video for you very, very soon. Thanks very much indeed. Bye bye for now.